Hi everyone, I'm Debbie Corso here from DBT Path. Thank you for coming on over to youtube.com/DBT Path. For today's discussion, I know it's been quite a while since I've made a video, so I'm excited that this is the topic for this particular video. So what it is, basically I came across this book that has been out for a little while now, not very long, but it basically is a guidebook that I wish I had had when I found out I had borderline personality disorder. And even now, as someone who is in recovery from BPD, I basically don't meet enough of the criteria to have the diagnosis anymore, but I still do meet some of the criteria, which of course brings suffering, and I still have to work on things. No, not completely without any type of criteria. But I basically came across this book, and it has been wonderful for me at where I'm at with my journey. And as I was flipping through it, I said, oh my gosh, people who are really in the thick of their BPD symptoms, who are really going through a lot of suffering, who wish they just had something to where if they feel like lashing out at their boss, or they feel like quitting their job, or they feel like, acting on some other urge, that they could just look up that particular issue and flip to a page and get some information on what they can do to be skillful in that moment. I had wished that there was something like that available for me this whole time. And somebody else thought, let's go ahead and do it. And here is the book, Coping with BPD. DBT and CBT skills to soothe the symptoms of borderline personality disorder. And it's by Blaise Aguirre and Jillian Galen, who are both amazing and very passionate about this. They also brought us the book Mindfulness for Borderline Personality Disorder. So let me open it up and show you a few things that I'm really impressed by so you can get a better idea. I'll also pop the link to the book so that you can just go right to Amazon and get yourself a copy after this, because I'm pretty sure you're going to want to. So let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so let's start with the basics in the table of contents. So if we jump right to that, give me a second here. It's interesting to try to film while doing this. Okay, so as I said, you're going to have, let me try not to move around so much, you're going to have topics that you can look up for different ways that you might be feeling if you're having intense emotions, and then actual strategies using dialectical behavior therapy, DBT skills, and CBT skills. So let's go through it. So you look here and there's anger. If you're feeling like you impulsively want to break up with someone, or like fighting with your parents or friends or coworkers or your therapist, or wanting to yell at people, which is a common urge, there's actually a page you can turn to. I'm going to go through some more of the other topics, and then for some of them we'll actually turn to the page so that you can see what it says. Okay, other intense emotions. So if you're experiencing what you identify as sadness, jealousy, guilt, shame, fear, disgust, there's a page for that. Loneliness. Now, here are some really typical ones that can be very difficult to deal with, which are feeling abandonment, feeling lonely, feeling bored, missing someone important to you, missing your therapist. Maybe there's been a break in therapy, or, maybe it's just, hard to wait until the next appointment. Observing personal limits. So this is partially about boundaries. So saying no, asking for what you need. So being assertive. Mood dependent behavior. If you're failing to keep commitments, that whole thing, I don't feel like going to work today. I don't feel like doing this. And then just like actually not doing it. This can be helpful with that. So we're not getting into that sabotaging. Feeling unreal. That feeling of non-reality. So what you do when you don't feel real, when the world doesn't seem real. Who am I? Not knowing how to act, taking on others' emotions, constantly changing who you are. I have to wonder if I was an inspiration for Chapter 7, because some of what was discussed is just like pretty much precisely my story with identity disturbance and BPD. So it was really interesting to see some of the suggestions for that. We have things on procrastination, drugs and alcohol, having urges to lash out in very specific ways, including wanting to destroy another person's property. There are things like that in there. And then, negative self-thoughts, which happens a lot with BPD. There's a lot of shame. So negative self-thoughts, living in the past or the future. So just dealing with that whole tendency for our mind to jump into the future and worry, or go back to the past and get really caught up in all of that again. Paranoia. I said, okay, that one, does that apply to me? I don't know. But when I actually read it, it did apply to me in some ways. I think that if we have had really difficult pasts, it is easy to assume that other people have bad intentions toward us, or they're conspiring, or they are out to get us in some way. And I don't mean like extreme paranoia where you think the toaster's talking to you. This is a very different type, and if you have BPD and you read this, you may say, oh my gosh, no, I really do have paranoid thoughts about people, and thinking that things are going to go in a certain direction because I've been hurt so many times before. I'm just automatically thinking that everyone's going to be that way. And then invalidating yourself, so believing you should not feel a certain way, just having some issues around acceptance, thinking that life isn't fair. So, okay, I brought up the paranoia one, so I'll just flip real quick. It says page 177, just to give you an idea. Flip, flip, flip. Okay. Oh, I had the bookmark in there. Okay, paranoia. So it gives you the problem, so it describes what the problem looks like. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll just read a little blurb, which is, when life becomes difficult, it is easy to make assumptions about other people's intentions. When you're struggling with intense emotions and having a hard time managing, you may feel that people are purposely making things difficult or challenging for you, or deliberately testing your ability to cope. Anyone else ever have those kind of thoughts? Because I do, and I have, and I just didn't realize that that was considered paranoia. As your emotional intensity increases, so does your certainty about others' malicious intentions. And then it talks about what it looks like. So it goes into an example with like a scenario with a person, like what it might look like. And then here's the best part, is the practice. So there are actual suggestions of things you can do to cope effectively and skillfully with this coming up for you. And then at the bottom is a checklist. So it asks you, hey, did you do this, this, and this? So I think this is an incredible resource for people who are suffering with BPD or BPD traits to start to do some coping more effectively, and bring this to your next therapy appointment and talk to your therapist about the work you're doing to be proactive to help yourself in these moments. But isn't this amazing, these topics that are in here? I just couldn't believe it. Let me go ahead and switch the camera around so I'm looking at you now. But here is the book. Okay, so yes, this is the book. I'll put the link down below. So what if you need an extra step beyond a book? Some additional guidance, some additional support, something to be accountable to, homework to do, that sort of thing, and you're not ready for, or can't afford, or don't have access to a full DBT program. I just want to remind you guys that it's right around the corner, my online DBT class that you can access from anywhere, and come to the live classes or do on your own time, listen to the recordings when you have time during the week, is opening up very soon. So if you're interested in having an accountability circle to learn these skills and practice them and connect with others so that you're talking about what you're doing and getting feedback and that sort of thing, consider coming to my online DBT class that happens every week on Mondays at 4 p.m. Pacific for 90 minutes online. I co-facilitate it with a wonderful licensed therapist, Amanda Smith, LMSW, who is also in recovery from borderline personality disorder. So if you find, hey, I get all the books and I even will get this one, but I need something more. I need to be able to talk to other people who have been through this and have come through the other end, like Amanda and myself, then the class might be for you. But I came here to tell you about this book. It just happens to coincide with the time that my class is starting too, so I thought I would mention that. But let me know what you think. Let me know if you're going to be ordering this book. Maybe you're one of those people who knew about it for a long time. Maybe you have a copy. Maybe you've been using it as a reference and it's been helping you And so I'd love to hear all about it. So anything you have in terms of thoughts about this book or your experience with it, or if you just discovered it today because of this video, pop a comment down in there. I'll do my best to get back to everyone as soon as possible. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of the day, and I look forward to connecting with you again. Bye for now.